Welcome. These will be my thoughts on The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 2, JSS. The episode is rated TVMA, so this video there will be spoilers for the episode and the live-action shows in The Walking Dead universe leading up to and including this one. And I really loved this episode. I think I want to just start with the I'm doing this video on Women's History Month, and this was a strong episode for female characters. I think I'll just so I don't forget, because that does happen sometimes, I'll start with the video recommendation. So Girl on Film in General and Excellent channel just did a video called Excalibur Changed Fantasy Cinema. It is phenomenal, and So, in no particular order, the women of this episode. I appreciate that Deanna continues to be really, essentially overwhelmed by, she cannot quite bring herself to engage in violence, even though she does want the place protected and she's comfortable with others, doing so. And the fact that, that is accepted by at least some others. I really appreciated the way that Maggie, she starts out in farming mode, talking about, doing all this work is going to make them sore, but that's how you know it was a good day of working. That is something. So I criticize conservatives a lot. I do want to underline, I have tremendous respect for farmers. I really love this whole, culture of, we're going to work hard, we're going to get it done, and, I honestly, I am a city slicker, but I really, really respect the, what's it called again in English? Work ethic of farmers. Anyway, she smoothly transitions between that and also, trying to figure out, Deanna, talking to Deanna, Reg wanted to expand this place, so did you. Has that changed? And then once, the shit hits the fan, she's, guns blazing and taking care of business. Very, very cool. And I guess that does bring us nicely to Enid. It was compelling seeing pre-Alexandria for her. And we already knew that she had gone through some shit, but seeing it, I appreciate that they spared us the actual deaths of her parents, and just this, she made sure to stay in the car, and, they maybe thought that they'd be able to stop the walkers, and, And she starts writing JSS everywhere. I guess Fox News might call it tagging, which might make them hate her almost as much as the no longer sexy green M&M, and certainly more than white supremacists. And, by the end of the episode, we understand, just survive something, and, powerful words. And I really love the fact that she doesn't immediately, as soon as she sees Alexandria, and you can hear, we can all hear, there's clearly happy people in there, relieved to be alive. And she's about to walk away from that. That's really, really, because she's not sure if she's comfortable with that right now after all this. And I don't know. I guess by the end of this episode, maybe no more her and Carl. I was hoping. Yeah, I'm not expecting like a schmaltzy love story on not on this show, but their trauma responses kind of match, you know. And the let's see, I guess that pretty much, yeah, really loved so I am still trying to remember people's names, but hairdresser, you know, the entire scene between her and Ron was just fantastic. I love that, like, there are cuts in it, but so many of the angles are showing both characters instead of going in on like close-ups on one and then cutting to the other and such. And some of the time, like a cut will last, there'll be a while between two cuts. You know, I thought that worked really well. And yeah, you know, he is like, he does not want to talk about this right now. And she understands that he has to. And, you know, I'm sensing a theme here, 2 episodes in a row. Someone, an Alexandrian, pointing out Rick is dangerous, you know. And it does really, you know, it's not the first time the show has done this, but it is worth reiterating, you know. I think on some level Ron probably does realize that his father was dangerous, but he was his father, you know. You're willing to forgive a lot under such circumstance, and yeah, I really loved when she pointed out, you know, she's like, you think this is my fault? Is that what you think? That this is my fault? You know, because it is coming across at least somewhat like he's blaming her. Like, why is he taking it out on her? He doesn't have to, like, if he doesn't want to talk about it, that's one thing. But yeah, this tone is, yeah. I really liked Rosita talking about, you know, yeah, the thing about, is that how it is outside? Pretty much. How do you keep going? And she's like, you got to find something worth dying for, you know. And I think that brings us to, so I'm going to try not to do the same. See, I remember both the names Dana and Denise. I think she said her name is Denise and the wrong one was Dana. So yeah, really thought it worked well with her entire, yeah, I guess her and Tara, their entire thing with, yeah, the, and the thing, you know, are you a doctor? Are you? Sorry, I'm just nervous. And I heard about how, you know, because he lied, and the story has, you know, and again, you know, the spectrum coding, he's just like, fair play, because it's like, yeah, I lied, and I'm sorry, and I deserve to be, you know, called out for that. And the lying, not the being sorry. Apologizing is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. It takes much more guts to apologize and admit when you're wrong than to stubbornly refuse to do so. And I think that does, yeah, the whole thing about, so she didn't quite finish, you know, she was going to be a surgeon, but then she became a psychiatrist because she had panic attacks. And it's like, oh boy, that is an unfortunate situation for the doctor. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Alexandria, you are not doing great on the doctor, you know, situation. This is, you're 0 for 2. And, yeah, and the thing about, you know, well, you know, I have a headache, well, it's unlikely I'll kill you. And then Eugene is like, I mean, what if you miss, what was it, melanoma? And they both just look at him as like, dude. And then again, very, very spectrum coded. Again, I say with love. And later they bring in someone who really desperately needs help, including surgery. And yeah, very, very, effectively done. It's been set up that she's not sure if she can handle that, and she wants to start slow, and then suddenly, and yeah, at first she says she can't do anything because she's terrified that she's going to fail, and Eugene comes through, says, I mean, okay, ultimately she's not able to save this woman, but still, she tried. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Or, to quote Gianmarco Soresi's basketball coach, you miss 100% of the shots you do take. And, yeah, he's like, you don't want to be a coward, trust me. And, yeah, she tells everyone to leave. And Tara's like, well, make sure you do her brain. And that more or less covers, so there's obviously at least one really significant one left. Right, I also wanted to, so hairdresser talking to the younger of her kids, and the thing with, locking in the, yeah, and the part where, so she has, she goes out to look for Ron because she has to. She can't just leave him out there, and she doesn't know exactly where he is. She just heard him, and she has to fight off that one person, and that was so clever, this thing of like pretending to be knocked out, and then as soon as the, okay, so according to the end credits, these are wolves. They're credited as wolf and then a descriptive term. So this wolf is, yeah, the, turns her back on hairdresser, and hairdresser, grabs the, yeah, gets the little scissors and stabs and just keeps fucking stabbing, and Ron sees it, and I just really want there to be an outtake where she turns around and goes, if you want a haircut now, I'm going to have to clean the scissors first. But yeah, I am thinking he's going to think that Rick is a bad influence, getting the Alexandrians to engage in violence, not fully appreciating that this is genuinely, like, there's no other way here. Like, I mean, I don't know. I guess, okay, at the end of the day, Morgan left some of them alive. I don't know if that's necessarily gonna turn out to be such a good thing. But yeah, self-defense is one of the only cases where I think in real life it's okay to use violence. I merely, in fiction, I can appreciate the catharsis of it. Now, the right, I will also say, when she was, yeah, so she says she just cut her hair, she's standing there with the scissors. I don't know, for some reason, it just occurred to me, she's like, no, yeah, those are like scissors for hair. I don't know why I was thinking she's gonna cut cuticles. Why does the word cuticle sound like something someone attracted to Hercules would nickname him? Anyway, yeah, I think that does. Oh yeah, so there's the scene early in the episode where Carol is talking to the others, and the thing with, oh, if only I had one of those pasta machines, it would be like we were in Tuscany. I'm sorry, that is really giving, if Hillary had won, we would be having brunch right now. And like, to be clear, I'm not saying that women handle that worse than men. I think a lot of the people who dealt with dissatisfaction with Hillary, whether it was because they hoped she would win or, you know, were frustrated that a woman was running to be president. A lot of them worst. A lot of the ones who handled it the worst were men, and yeah, probably especially like conservative, misogynistic men who just could not, who would literally rather have this obviously unqualified joke clown literally wears makeup, which, to be clear, I'm not saying there's something wrong with men wearing makeup, but you should probably get help, get someone else to help do it for you if you're as bad as Donald Trump is. Anyway, the yeah, and Carol going like, smoking kills, and there's enough things killing us, which, like, it's such a great, because I mean, she's not wrong, like, no lie detected there, but yeah, just and then she gets to be a really big badass. Is that just a thing on the show from now on? Because I could live with that. I could live with this show just having Carol be an absolute badass very early in seasons, because, like, season 5 also had, yeah. Um, and that was also just, like, seeing, so yeah, she's standing there smoking, and it's like, well, I mean, Carol said don't smoke in the house. She didn't say stop smoking entirely, and it can be difficult to stop smoking entirely. I understand from people who try. But then, someone attacks, and it's like, wow, that was unexpected. And I really love that they did that way, because, like, yeah, at the end of the day, Rick said, someone might, climb the yeah. So and it was also clever, splitting up you know, the characters the way this did. Very, very effective for tension. Now, I think, yeah, I quite liked, she's always so freaking clever. Like, I swear, I hear that, I guess that's a spoiler. Okay, I'll just say, there was a fairly recent piece of media that also had a woman just going full Rambo. But yeah, it's so great to see, and so clever. She puts on the jacket and does the W, or double V, as it more resembles. But okay, Americans, be weird about language. I'm joking. We Danes can be weird about it as well. Anyway, I think, yeah, and yeah, like, at one point, there's like two who are completely fooled by it, and they're like, "Where'd you get a gun?" And, she's like, not important, but let me just demonstrate how it works. Catch. And let's see, I think that pretty much, yeah, really, really cool fight when, so she ends up inside the, yeah, and let's see, yeah, and I also really, and yeah, and she helps the other one, she's like, okay, do you know how to use a gun? No? Okay, well, aim in that direction, pull the trigger. If someone you don't know comes around, pull the trigger until they're on the ground. And she insists that they shoot. Anyone that she comes near and has a choice to. And I really appreciated Morgan pointing out, he says you don't have to kill them, and then he points out you don't even like it, which, that is an angle to take if you're trying to get someone to stop doing something that you don't want them to do. And it is just so great to see, like, to think, like, I'm not sure she was ever weak. I know she herself would say that she used to be, but she definitely didn't used to be as much of a badass. And yeah, I think that brings us to the, yeah, I think those are all the different female characters. But yeah, I guess I'll just close on. I definitely understand Enid moving on. I mean, she was okay with Alexandria as long as it was stable. But the horses left the barn, and I'm losing track of this metaphor. Yeah, so I guess the rest of this video is going to be more or less chronological. without the scenes that I have mentioned already. Yeah, I thought they did a great job showing, clearly she's out there for a while. This did not all happen in one day. And yeah, she discovers an animal, and lucky for her, that turtle was, whilst possibly a teenager, I didn't get a good enough look, fairly confident, not a mutant ninja. And I think that does pretty much. Yeah, I there's at least one other thing. Yeah, I like the part where several characters help bring this person who needs surgery into Denise's, and then he's like, I also believe that my presence would be better appreciated, and some of them are like, what? And then he just starts saying it over, like, I think they might have meant for you to just, like, do you have something that's, like, shorter? So I'm not making excuses for the fucked up things in that movie, but it's got some strengths, including some lines that are very, very quotable. Anyway, I think that does bring us to the... Yeah, I really loved Tara pointing out about community, how important it is to, yeah. And let's see, I thought it worked incredibly well, how much of the episode, like, the first chunk of it is, these various character interactions, and then the rest, like, there's other great stuff in that realm for the rest of the episode as well, but there's a lot of action and tension, and it manages to lull us into a false sense of security, because I was thinking, like, okay, I think they're safe from the trucker walkers, the walker trucker rangers, and I think that might bring us to the... Let's see. I love the way that we never got a clear idea of how many there were. Like, by the end of the episode, you can, like, sit and count how many we saw on screen, but until that, I had no idea how many wolves were in Alexandria. So very nicely done on that. And that we don't really see, for a little while, we see the results, but not their attacks, basically. We see Molotov cocktails, and, we see the truck, but we don't really get a good look at the driver, and these various things. Very nicely done. Oh, right. I like the thing about, the talk about, so what was it, like, it irritates the appendix or something, and then okay, but it's prime, it's prime real estate. And yeah, I think Tara, makes a good point. I mean, if Alexandria is still somewhere they're going to be staying after this episode, yeah, sure, use it for multiple different purposes. Right. So, felt a little bad for Carl, clearly jealous, seeing Enid hugging, but yeah, I understand, she is, like, it's difficult for her to get attached, I think that might bring us to the... I think I have said it in earlier videos, but I do really love that, like, Carl doesn't even really complain about, like, he does just help take care of Judith, He's a good older brother, because there's so many teenagers who would whine about it, and it is just something that we got to get to a place where we just kind of normalize, like, help take care of your family. You know, if like obviously if you're like a tiny little child, then there's only so much you can do. But you know, certainly once you're at least a little older than that, you try to do what you can. And obviously, I'm not talking about like, oh, you should force children and teenagers to do like a lot of labor. I'm just like, he's, you know, he's got her in the stroller and walking down the, you know, that is something that a teenager can do without it being too much. And the other thing there, let's see, the yes, so the priest talking to him, and you know the thing about like the things I said about your group, it was not about you, it was about me. And you know, Carl is like, you should tell everybody that. And the priest is like, yeah, probably. And then Carl's like, you know what, sure, I'll help you, you know, we'll start with the machetes, 3 o'clock, the church, you know. And yeah, because like at the end of the day, Carl really does want things to work out for the group, you know, like he's obviously not exactly founder of the fan club of the priest right now, but it is, you know, he is showing a willingness to learn and to better himself for the zombie apocalypse purposes. And yeah, that is and it's such a good point. Like it's, you know, in human psychology, I mean, it's essentially cognitive dissonance. You know, he couldn't quite cope, the priest couldn't, because like he could have saved, or at least shaved, some of his parishioners, possibly not all, but at least some. And he didn't because he was too afraid. And then when he sees, you know, Rick's survivors using violence, you know, he can't quite process it in a healthy way. And now he realizes the damage that did, that he, you know, not only couldn't, but then also lied about it. And yeah, I think that I think that might bring us to Morgan. I really appreciated him trying to prevent human death. Like he's, you know, if someone is a walker, he will destroy the brain. I was a tiny bit unclear on if he did kill that one who kept saying, you can't do it, can you? But yeah, and it was so fucking cool when he's like, he's literally surrounded. There's like 5 of them. And they don't even exclusively stick to that, you know, Hollywood fight scene rule where, you know, they come at you one at a time. If you haven't already watched Jean-Claude Van Damme, Cyborg 1, that's definitely a place where you see that rule in full force. It's honestly, it's one of those movies, not everything about it is terrible. If I had a copy, I might actually do a video on it. And it really does, it's one of those movies where you really see, like, when Van Damme isn't really talking, when it's just like his face, his acting is actually not terrible, sometimes even good, you know. So yeah, I think that does bring us to, yeah, and you know, Carol, you know, handing them guns, and yeah, both Morgan and the priest. And yeah, it was great. So clever. She, you know, she's got the disguise on, and then she acts like she's taken him as a prisoner, and at least one person even falls for it. And it's like, oh, good catch. Genuinely, really, really clever. And then, of course, you know, Morgan insists on saving the priest, to her dismay. And I think that might cover. I like that we get just a little bit of the wolves, like ideology, because one of them says, we're freeing you. And the, let's see. Yeah, also the one that goes, slow or fast. And, Morgan doesn't really humor him. And so he's like, and then the wolf responds, "You have selected slow and painful." And that was also really cool. I gotta say, Morgan is really, really calm and collected, considering he's facing a guy with an axe. Like, what if this guy tries to pull a Hegseth? Although I guess that axe didn't end up really harming a lot, though it's pretty unreal to be like, I know I've talked about this before, but who the fuck throws an axe? Like, end of sentence. But also, who does that without making absolutely certain that there isn't someone nearby that they're not trying to hit? And now he's talking about how, you know, there was like a media appearance where he said something about that Iranians should be, yeah, that was, he used very threatening language. Let's go with that. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's telling that he said Iranians rather than like military or terrorists or, yeah, really, really showing your cards there. I think that might bring us to the, I really appreciated when someone made the point, they must not have guns, otherwise they would have used them by now. And I think that does more or less cover. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to more finding out, how, what are they gonna do in response to this? Because like, technically there is still a lot of wall left, and it is a place that they could hypothetically try to guard and protect, but I don't know. An argument could be made to try to run, but then what if that's what the Wolves wanted? And, can they organize getting everyone safely out of there? Yeah, it's a really, really dangerous situation. I genuinely am not sure what exactly they're going to do in order to safely maneuver this. So, yeah. Right. Carol, very harsh with hairdresser's youngest. But we can understand why, it's, yeah. And I don't know, I kind of love the detail that, so right before the, right before Carol realizes that there's an attack, she puts something in the oven, and then the timer goes off, and Carl takes it out. And it's just the contrast between them trying to have a semblance of a normal life and then being attacked so brutally. Yeah. And just earlier in the episode, we had Maggie talking about, we can plant a bunch of, fruits and vegetables here. And yeah, I think that might cover, I feel like there's at least one more thing that I wanted to make sure to say about this episode. So I'm just going to real quick mentally fast forward through the entire thing. And I guess that maybe does. Yeah, I'll be fascinated to see more of Denise, because like I could kind of see it going either way. Maybe this is going to be like rock bottom. Maybe it's going to, motivate her to, because she tried. She might not have quite gotten there, but she made a sincere effort. Yeah, think that does pretty much cover... Yeah. Every single character. I'll be fascinated to see in the next episode, or however long it takes, to see how they respond after the immediate, because by the end of this episode, there are no wolves in Alexandria. And yeah, also the detail that they also had to go and take out the Molotov cocktailed, extra crispy. And the part where Carol has to, because like what else is she gonna do? She's not. There's no saving this Alexandrian. She was sliced across the stomach, which like no wonder she can't keep quiet. Like clearly she understands that it would be beneficial to, but like the stomach is one of those places where it really really hurts. Like it doesn't take very much for the stomach to as far as like it doesn't even really have to be injury. Yeah. And yeah, she has to deal with the brain and the pinky. And I think that might just about... Yeah, when Hairdresser is drilling into the chest of Wolf with the scissors, 69, that certainly was quite the display of Mama Bear, and releasing frustration pent up over all the abuse. And I think that might just about... Yeah, I think that is what is to say. I like the part where so yeah, Morgan chooses to spare some rather than strike, and one of them does pick up a gun, but does not use it on Morgan, but rather runs away out of the place, and Morgan closes the door. And yeah, because like at the end of the day, what's one gun gonna be able to do? But at the same time, that is one of the reasons why Carol says to kill them all. And let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I feel the fact that he did not even try to shoot Morgan with the gun made me wonder if it was essentially just an act of defiance, more or less just him saying, you think you have power over us, then we're gonna do a thing that you obviously don't want us to do. And I think that might cover the let's see. Yeah, the entire fight between Morgan and the wolf inside was really really cool, throwing each other into things, and yeah. One more thing that I noticed a wolf saying, because someone said, if you're gonna end up, I think it might have been Morgan saying, you're gonna end up dead if you keep choosing this life. And the response is, we didn't choose. That's an interesting way to respond to that, and I gotta say, it is definitely making me think of like maybe it's a cult or something, because like that's, how, what do you mean you didn't choose? You've been killing people, like you didn't even try to just like talk to them and see if... I mean, I feel like the answer would probably have been no, but hypothetically they could ask if they could join Alexandria. And I mean, who in Alexandria that has any gun in their hand or near them wouldn't just say, if you stay away, we're not gonna, there doesn't have to be a problem here before the slice and dice starts. Yeah, just a really, really solid episode. Appreciate them pulling the trigger, somewhat literally, on the wolves already.